Roman civilization is considered the core foundation of Western authenticity. Bloody debauchery was an indispensable part of the cultural program of Rome. Sadly though, even in the Christian, purely ascetic period of the development of Western society, it was difficult to fight back the above-mentioned Black Snake. But why to fight it after all? Those who fought it, the Roman Catholic Church, allowed themselves the devil knows what for an extremely long time. Thus, blasphemy, lust, and cruel tyrannical habits have always possessed ancient Rome, no matter who and when ruled it. Pretty much nothing has changed. And at one time, a certain Valeria Messalina was considered to be the main one, who gave a head start to Tiberius and Caligula. So today, on Flip Side of History, we prepared for you an episode dedicated to a woman named Valeria Messalina. We continue our episode. Keep watching. About her origin. First off, let's talk about the name itself. Such a state as Rome was formed from clans of tribes of different languages, but at the same time most of them were patriarchal. Such an honor as the possession of one's own name was awarded only to men. All girls were called by the name of the father of the family. The feminine suffix ia or ina was added, and it was characteristic only of the Latins. For an example, the first daughter of the one named Livy was called the prenomen personal name Livia or Livia Prima, translates as the first, and all those who followed could be baptized Livius Sectus, the sixth, Livia Tertius, the third, and so on. Taking into account the fact that the family was noble, patrician, the nomen was always also indicated. The name of the founder of the family, the common parent or several families of different generations, his statue or death mask was in a prominent place in the house. For example, when we are talking about a certain Emilia, as a result we get a formula for the sixth daughter of the family, Livia Secta Emilia, Emilina. In general, solid derivatives of male names. The exception could be cognonyms, nicknames, but much more often than not, they were awarded exclusively to men. Yet, the full name of the main character of the video is her ancestral biography. But there is a little moment here as well. The country, quickly exposed to corruption and cunning political techniques, began to allow the sale of kinship. A nobleman could officially, on paper, adopt a plebeian. The emperor adopted the right person, usually a patrician, to make him his official successor. As for the main person of the episode, we have not received her personal name at all, even till our present time. After all, the Valerii are the Roman clan from which the woman of courage came. As a result, the full name, prenomen, and nomen could remain only a set of letters, and not a real biography. Still, it was rumored that the lineage of this lady in the female line went back to one of Octavian Augustus' sisters. If the information is to be believed, the seductive woman was not just patrician but also of Caesarean, imperial blood. However, is it in fact true or is it just a purchased remark about adoption? We won't ever know. That is why in such cases it was the cognomen, nickname, that spoke more about the person. Did Valeria have it when Emperor Claudius took her as his wife? Yes, indeed. But it belonged to the entire family. In reality, Messal is an incredibly old cognomen of the Latins, which has become something of an ancestral title, and it didn't come from the ordinary people but from priests. The term Messor, later Messal, reaper, referred to the head of a family that contained the genes of the priests of the cults of the ancient harvest gods. The Valerian family could also go back to the ancient priestly family. Additive already appeared in the name of the main character's father, Mark Valeria Messala. But let's remember the insane level of corruption. It is possible that a community of certain priests, Curia, gave or pretty much sold a noble nickname to the Valerii. For example, for his daughter's participation in rituals to make peace with the gods of the harvest, implying even group coition. This is the totem of fertility. Just don't think that the fact that the beginning of promiscuous sexual life at the age of puberty was some kind of nonsense for Pax Romana. Absolutely not. In the main cities of the Roman world or in the villas of the greatest politicians, this was the norm rather than the exception for beautiful girls. Lifespan overall of an average Roman woman or man was short, so 13-year-old Messalina was quickly drawn into the world of feasts of the degenerate Caligula as soon as they realized that she already had something to grab onto. Oftentimes, it was only after such pleasures that a woman could get at least some kind of identifier other than her father's name and serial number, such as skinny or big hips. A story of adultery. Even before she met Claudius, to whom she was introduced by Emperor Caligula, she was already known for her bed pleasures to a number of men. For this reason, the names of ancient temples added to the prenomen of some royal families lost their true meaning later, as they were influenced by the simple behavior of women leaders. Yes, by the Middle Ages, his feminine form, Messalina, had become a household name. A number of chroniclers of the time strongly professed that Valeria had a total of 8,000 lovers throughout her lifetime. It's hard to trust such way too humongous numbers. Much more realistic is the figure 266, also appearing in the annals of ancient Roman authors. But most of this amount was more likely to be revealed after the priestess of love became the empress. Here we are talking about earlier intimacy. But even this quantity bears little resemblance to the truth, since our persona lived, according to her contemporaries, only for about 30 years. However, how dare we to claim that we know everything about antique parties? Maybe the amount is way too underestimated. Why was the well-bred adulteress Valeria chosen as the wife of the cowardly fat man Claudius? Is it just because of her relationship in the female line? Of course it mattered, but most likely it was not Claudius who chose Valeria, but in reality vice versa. She was bolder and more ambitious than the cowardly youngest grandson of Octavian's wife, though later the leader of the cavalier class. Getting to know the important people of Rome through the most intimate, professional excitement, she pressed the necessary keys or pulled the strain in time. Well, it depended on who she had to engage in intimacy with. Caligula was blinded by her talents and made her a relative, giving her uncle Claudius in marriage. She has already become the third half of the well-fed politician. And since the Praetorians defeated the Senate faction in another showdown, just few senators were able to fight, only the main representative of the empire's security forces, these are not only legionnaires, could be in the totalitarian's chair. By that time it had become Claudius, a man who was brought to power by the title of Uncle of the Emperor and the political success of the horsemen. He swam to the post with the stream. The fabulous years of the First Lady. And along with it, Messalina, who now became the mother of the entire Roman state, also became quite successful. She could not sit shiftless either. Having become influential under Caligula, it just strengthened its position under his uncle. She arranged many events for the nobility and commoners for this or that holiday. The Senate, as you already got to know, an outwardly bunch of doormats, dedicated temples and erected statues to her. There was a split second when they even wanted to make her Augusta, or in other words, to divinize her as Caesar Octavian once did. But this time Claudius said, "Calm down already." Apparently he knew by that time that a prostitute goddess is a bad hint. The overall hypocrisy of the popular representatives was understandable. They were simply afraid of displeasing this powerful dramatic performer in Roman history. After all, it is known what she ordered to be done to those who did not please her. She sent secret assassins. Noble titles didn't help. She didn't even need to arrange any trials and interrogations. She acted in a fully feminine way, we mean insidiously. She pitted political groups against each other, having known their leaders long before her marriage to Claudius, during the feasts of the flesh, and perhaps there were priestly ones. As for the family's personal life, the wife of the Valeri Messal family brought Claudius a son and a daughter. The former later became famous for his successful campaign against the Britons of Foggy Albion. On his return, he was awarded the cognomen Britannicus by the Senate. Under this name, he entered the history textbooks. Messalina's intrigues removed all relatives and children of Claudius' former wives from the right of succession, clearing the way for her own offspring. Both before and after Claudius, Messalina visited the Lupanari under the name of the commoner Lutsisca. Before meeting Caligula, she could do it for one-time money or for temporary maintenance. If a family is patrician, it doesn't necessarily mean that there were always money. Finances were not transferred only to corrupt officials, merchants, payday lenders, money changers, and ship owners. Noble Roman women always made money on the panel in case of complete uncertainty or stagnation. Thus, it was considered the norm. According to the journals of some Romans, the First Lady could not go a day without fleshly pleasures. If there were no people of free classes nearby, she immediately switched to slaves. Let's talk about the following. How she met her end. The Empress allowed herself a huge amount of stuff. She prevented others' work on their posts and even renounced them of their noble titles, took away money and even property. As a result, she offended part of the nobility. As soon as they found a dirty part somewhere in herself, she became the mistress of the conspirator Gaius Silius, immediately reported the horrible allegations to the Senate. Claudius could not have saved her after the condemnation by masses, and, in truth, he did not want to do this. The Praetorians gave noble criminals a chance to commit suicide. This is honorable, but Messalina couldn't. She was hacked to death by the commander of the Praetorian detachment, and then they began to tear her up, or rather, what was left of her. Well, this is it for today. We hope you enjoyed watching it and got to know something new today. We love providing you with new fresh content, and if you do love our episodes, consider subscribing and also leave a like. And for now, see you later on Flip Side of History.